Hi, everyone. So I brought Daniel here today, drug him out of his
My
office.
office right over there.
Yeah.
Drove all the way down here to do that.
I drug him out of the office because I saw this LinkedIn post and I thought it would be interesting to talk about. So it was about this concept of in any situation, not just a software implementation, there can be gatekeepers and coaches.
Gotcha.
So when it relates to software implementations or having a software in general in your business, a gatekeeper very much is someone that knows the system in and out, but they're not really teaching others at the organization about how to solve their problems in the system or how to best utilize the system. Versus a coach is someone that also knows the software in and out, probably set up the implementation, probably worked with the consultants like us, worked with strategies group to set it up. But then they go and train their team on some best practices or some methods to troubleshoot when they're in a pickle in the system. So those are two very different approaches, and I think based on your personality, you might lean towards one over the other. Like, I think in certain environments, I definitely lean towards a gatekeeper role just because it's easier sometimes. But I wanted to get your take on how you see organizations navigating the two types of people.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that they look very similar, and I don't think the intent is usually, sometimes it is, sometimes you've got issues there, and that's fine, you can work through those, but usually it's not, I want to keep other people out of the knowledge, it's I want to control the process and make it clean. I want to make sure all the data that hits our system is just pristine. And there's good intent there, and sometimes it's really necessary. I think, especially on the smaller organization side, having one person that really knows from soup to nuts the whole process and how it relates to the system, where the data inputs are, what the data outputs are supposed to be, I think that's valuable. But where I think it falls apart is, to your point, it's easier to just kind of keep it internally and not teach anyone else, and usually that's a decision made out of just ease and path of least resistance. So I think the folks that have the knowledge, the goal for them is to have the system clean. That's great, and have it work. But
Which is important. Like, data hygiene is incredibly important for a system to be at its best.
And it's the basis of all the decisions we make. We need the good data, but we also need all the data. That's where I think it starts to fall down. When that person can't be a quick enough turnaround time for something. Whether it's a new request, we want to get this piece in the system. We want to start using daily field reports. We want to start doing change orders this way and add a process. And it takes weeks and it takes months for them to get to it because they're doing all the other stuff too and checking every, cross the T's, dot the I's on everything. And all of a sudden the backlog grows and they don't have anyone to help and they're drowning. Well, what happens is business goes on, so the team starts doing things in Excel. They start doing things through email. They start managing outside of your system. And all of a sudden, you don't have the valuable data anymore. Your data is clean that's there, but it's not complete. So I feel like that's where it falls apart. And there's probably a threshold of growth where you hit that.
So what would you suggest the workaround for that is? Is it at the beginning of the process, like during implementation? Do you involve more people in the training process with the consultant, or do you set up a huge conference room with every single one of your employees and explain some simple things, or video recordings? What's the patch to taking yourself from being a gatekeeper to becoming more of a coach kind of role, or like more of a collaborative systems manager?
And being able to delegate pieces of it is part of that. Admittedly, I'm not great at some of this stuff, and I think a lot of it has to do with organization for me. People help me with that. They're like, hey, I know you just did that thing. Can you just write it down real quick, and we'll turn it into a how-to guide. So I think it depends on the person. It depends on the scale. Like you mentioned, everyone in a conference room, some of our bigger customers do that, and it works well. Some of our customers identify user champions, and at bigger organization, that's huge.
Yeah.
Even at smaller ones, it's important, but you just have less of them.
Yeah. So the user champion model, are you saying like one person is the expert on CRM in the system, one is the expert on project management, like that?
In an ideal world, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have somebody that just knows everything about that piece and how it relates to the other pieces. That way it's not, one person for the whole system.
Yeah.
And you can start with one person if you're getting into it and you want to kind of control all the pieces for the first little bit and then add those people in. But I think it takes planning and it takes kind of effort, because the effort of maintaining current system is a lot. You're going to have to add on top of that to get more people knowledgeable, to train the next person, to pass off something. And just something that happens anytime you pass things off is it fails a little bit.
There's error.
Yeah, you just have to be ready to deal with that. You have to have systems in place to catch those things, and have kind of a barometer of what is an error that's worth, pulling the reins back, because it can't be everything.
Yeah.
You're going to have to deal with a little bit of error in that process, I think. But I do think you invest in people, you invest in giving them an opportunity to learn and upskill. And it takes your knowledge champion or gatekeeper, whoever they may be in that persona, gives them a chance to learn something new and leverage something new. Even if it's just starting to maybe manage a team.
Yeah.
Maybe they're growing in that way. Maybe they're adding on functionality. But one thing that I think is important is in adding people in the conversation and getting them involved in decisions, you add perspectives.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge.
It is big, because then I think we always fall into this pattern as people, as, this is the way that we've always done things.
Yeah.
And we're not
exactly.
really thinking about how we can make those things better.
Yep.
And with one person that's so bogged down with all these requests from all these different departments,
Yep.
They don't have time to think about, okay, is this the most logical way of doing it?
Yep.
They just figure out how to do it.
Exactly.
But with more people in the conversation, there can be streamlined ways of doing things, especially in a system like Acumatica, where there's 45 different ways to do one thing.
Yeah. It's all based on preference, right?
Yeah, you
How
can
do you want it to be done?
then tailor it down and talk to everybody and what's the least amount of clicks for me to get here? So yeah, that's a big thing. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is how important this is to succession at an organization. So someone is always at risk of leaving your organization. They could be so ingrained, but life happens. They might get a better role. They might one day mess up. So having a more coach-centric environment, a more collaborative environment, really protects an organization against the brain trust leaving the organization.
Yep, and I think this is a plug for EOS. That's why I like EOS, because you take the knowledge from being tribal knowledge of sorts, right? People just kind of know how things are supposed to work. That's expensive and it's tough to replicate. So instead of having here's how you do your job, you're go talk to these 8 people and try to piece it together over the next 6 months, and then we'll see how it goes. And then when one of them leaves, you lose a key piece of that knowledge. So you need to really understand and help your team not be the bearers of that burden, because to your point, they might have a better gig. That you should be excited for them if they found something that's perfect for what they want to do, and it shouldn't cripple your business. That's a dangerous spot to be as a business. You want to have documentation, you want to have redundancies if you can, and it can't be all based on one person. That's not a great spot to be. I recommend the process documentation, some how-to guides, and you basically update those as new decisions get made. So that way you actually have how your business runs kind of separated from people, because they can all use that and look at it the same way.
And now with tools like AI tools like ChatGPT, Cloud, you name it, you can documenting those processes are easier now than ever. So take advantage of that. I feel like it's a good place to be in, especially if you struggle with creating a step-by-step guide. That's an easy way around it.
Well, and I think even on top of that, people are asking the questions about AI right now. I don't think everyone's moved into using it. They're sort of experimenting with it. What can it do? And I think while we're in that phase and it hasn't fully embedded itself into all of our tools yet, if you document what you do and you have good data, that's where you can start to plug some of this in. Like this little piece right here is just super manual and people just have to do it to get the data. Well, maybe you can just tell an AI bot to do that, an agent, to go out and do this component of my process, and you have it documented. And then you have your good data underneath it. So that's just something worth thinking about. I think it's a good plan.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's a good talk. Be a coach, not a gatekeeper.
Agreed. It's a great idea. It's better for everybody, even the person who has the knowledge.
For sure.